URC round number 3, folks, and Munster have got a 3 from 3 record with their 20 points to 19 win over Edinburgh. I've been very keen to observe how he goes since his move from this neck of the woods over to Munster. And it's fair to say this one wasn't exactly champagne rugby, but credit to the guys. They hung on, got themselves a bonus point win. Edinburgh will be ruining not one, not two, not three, but four yellow cards. Like they were getting the better of the scrum battle, but the penalty count was horrendously high for them, and they coughed up a bit too much ball. I mean, credit to them as well. It looked like they were dead and buried towards the end on their own goal line at 80 minutes, but gave themselves a chance to nick it as well. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. It was also an interesting one. This one because Edinburgh obviously didn't play last week with the Storm, their game being postponed, and Munster made a heap of changes in the back line. The commentary team talked about it pre-match, about like wanting to build cohesion, looking a bit disjointed last week, and then the amount of changes they made potentially not helping that. And I think that was pretty bang on, actually. There were times when the Munster attack still looked, not flowing. It's third game of the season, so maybe that's to be expected. They did get the first try. Andrew Smith, 2 minutes in. It's a bit of a freak try. It's turnover ball, which is, again, I feel like one of the most costly factors if you're an Edinburgh fan for the reason for the loss. Quick line-out take. Nash with the dink through. And then Darcy Graham kind of sweeping back, flails his arms, tries to grab the thing. He had bad luck in terms of the ball just not sticking to his hands at times, and this one did Darcy Graham. But Andrew Smith was able to pounce on it. He scored out wide. They didn't convert any of their tries this week. Munster, they had the reverse last week when they played Cardiff, right? It was Cardiff who couldn't find a conversion. Well, it was Munster this week, so 5-0. Still a pretty good start, but it did not take Edinburgh long to hit back. They were not opting for kickable threes, both sides, to be fair. Just were not opting for threes. They both wanted tries, and they mauled it. Ashman went over, so justified the decision to not go for poles, 5 points apiece, and then they got a second one through Ben Velicott, who just had to dot it down as the ruck was very, very close to Munster's line. And Munster, I felt like were kind of not doing themselves any favours. Like they had conceded a really soft obstruction penalty in their own half a few minutes before conceding this try to just keep them under the cosh, man. They were just no ball and couldn't get out of their own half, Munster. At that point, like 20 minutes in, Edinburgh had 74% possession and 79% territory, but it's still only 12-5 with that converted try. And credit to Munster's defence, like following up that second try that Edinburgh scored, Munster's defence held for over 15 phases. Mike Haley had a nice covering tackle on Darcy Graham. I don't know if it was the nicest tackle, but it was a tackle. He stopped this man. So, yeah, they were hanging on, Munster. And then they did finally get a chance to get out of their own half. And they were also not opting for threes. Munster also going for the points. And that led to Edinburgh's first yellow card. Glenn Young copped a yellow card for being offside on his own goal line. Ben Whitehouse was very particular about those kind of red zone penalties. Anything he saw as even remotely cynical was getting a card. So versus 14 men, could Munster score? No, because their line-out was pretty awful in the first half. It was pulling your hair out stuff, and I'm a neutral in this one. If you're a Munster fan, you would have been very, very frustrated. But then Darcy Ray cops the second yellow card for Edinburgh during the first yellow card for Edinburgh for a high tackle on Mike Haley. Mike Haley doesn't come back after this one. He has to go off for an HA. So it's 15-13. They did get a try through Michael Milne. Close range effort after the maul had gone close. So 10 points to 12 with the missed conversion. Munster did go for the corner again before halftime. Edinburgh did not contest 5 metres out, but after a few phases, Munster lost it. So it's 12-10 halftime. Edinburgh's in front. The possession and territory numbers have evened up a fair bit after those first 20 minutes being largely dominated by Edinburgh. But Munster's line out is 6 from 10. 6 from 10. Usually we look at 8 from 10 and go, it could be a bit higher. So yeah, they were missing some chances. Edinburgh's was 4 from 4, but Edinburgh, 8 turnovers conceded to Munster's 4, 9 penalties conceded to Munster's 3. So both sides with a fair bit to work on, you feel like, as the season progresses. And as the game progressed, to be honest, both sides' tackle percentages, though, were looking really tasty. Like both in the 90s, like really cracking stuff. Not many inches given defensively. It hadn't helped. Munster, Jaeger and Haley had gone off in the first half. Sykes and O'Connor had gone off for Edinburgh. So you had a bunch of guys go off. At least the Edinburgh guys were able to come back on. The Munster guys did not. They had to sit after failing HIAs. Edinburgh, second half, had loads of phases in Munster's territory. And again, it was the scrum going to work. Their scrum was certainly getting some good pay in this one. But Munster's defence was solid, even pushing Edinburgh back up until James Lang had that dinking kick through for Darcy Graham. That one was a peach. That's Darcy Graham's moment of the match. That was very, very nicely taken. At this point, we are 19 points to 10 with Edinburgh in the lead. That's despite having had, 2 guys in the bin for a time at the same time. Munster's attack, to be fair, also had not been looking like it was really clicking up until they got a set-piece play where Nash was able to get himself into some space. That was Farrell, I think, who set him up with that pass. And then Edinburgh copped their 3rd yellow card. Freddie Douglas coming in at the side. Again, it's a red zone one, so Ben Whitehouse has got no patience for it. It's another card. But Edinburgh, man, they stopped the initial Munster phases from a maul and then won a penalty at the breakdown to get themselves out. Milno did get a second try during the yellow card period. It was a nice Stan Kelly kind of half break, again from Farrell in the build-up. That guy gets man of the match. He was pretty silky in terms of his skills and setting up guys for space. Misconversion, 15 points to 19. And then the errors continue. That's what I mean about it wasn't kind of champagne rugby. Like Munster, a really soft penalty for like running a blocking line after a kick. You can't be doing that. And then like Ben Healy, like on his return to Munsterland, like with one of the worst passes I think I've ever seen in a game of professional rugby, where it just floated up. Like you've seen guys miss-kick them before, but that's one of the worst passes ever. It didn't cost them initially. And I honestly thought on 69 minutes, Edinburgh probably had this because they were peppering Munster's backfield with high balls and scrums were looking promising for Edinburgh. So it was a good strategy. High balls, high chance of leading to knock-ons or you regain possession. So it's a pretty, like, in terms of your chances of getting a good outcome, it's a pretty effective play. But then Bradbury gets the 4th yellow card for Edinburgh. It's for a croc roll on Lee Barron. It is an ugly looking one. Those ones always look awful when the guy falls on the limb. So he cops a yellow card versus 14 men. Munster do get that bonus point try. Maul phases. And it's Beneem Wycherley who's able to go over from close range. Again, it's a missed conversion, but they are in the lead after having seemingly, I know it was never like a huge margin out, but they're seemingly not in control of the game, Munster. Under pressure, Darcy Graham tackles Coughlin in the air, which was a poor decision. Kept Edinburgh under a bit of pressure. Gavin Coombs looked to have scored the one to make it a sure thing right before full time, but that one was TMO'd for a knock-on. And then Edinburgh, on their own goal line with 80 minutes on the clock, have a scrum, which wins a penalty. Then a line-out gets a penalty. It's starting to look a little bit potentially hairy for Munster because they'd won it with the Coombs try, which was chalked off. But then their 3rd attempt, when they maul it, just gets shut down, the ball not coming out, and it is game over. So as I said, it wasn't pretty. But Clayton McMillan's 3 from 3. That's a bonus point win. I am happy for Edinburgh. They got the losing bonus point because they deserved at least that much. They were really good value in many areas of this game. But geez, 4 yellow cards. It's always going to be rough. Possession and territory finished pretty even. The line breaks was 5-4 to Munster. The turnovers conceded was 14-11 against Edinburgh. 6 of those were Darcy Graham. Like, he also won 2 turnovers. There was one moment where he won a turnover right near full time as well, and like could have potentially darted up the field, but ended up just spilling the ball forward. So apart from his try, not really his night. Penalties conceded 14-7 against Edinburgh. Yellow cards 4-zip, as I mentioned. Individuals, Tom Farrell, man of the match, 2 line breaks, 55 metres, 13 carries, really, really busy everywhere, man. Lang had 43 metres. As I said, Graham, a couple of turnovers, but yeah. Interesting times in the URC. We will see how Munster go up against Leinster next week. That's always a fascinating one to watch. And Edinburgh will be taking on Benetton back home. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. And yeah, subscribe to the channel for more URC content. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.